Hi, this is Homay from Spitfire Audio with a demo, and I've only used libraries from an incredible series called Originals. You can find epic strings in there, epic brass and woodwinds, cinematic percussion, and felt piano, and all 4 libraries combined weigh around 9 gigabytes, so it's pretty light on the system. It's also a great entry point for anybody thinking about composing. I'll go through each of those individual libraries, but first I'll play back what I have here to see what you think. Okay, let's look at the piano first because that's what I did my first move with. It's an upright piano that we've recorded at Spitfire Studios. The GUI offers you 3 different signal paths. You have condenser, ribbon, hammers. You also have expression dynamics. Within this library, dynamics means that if you have it all the way down, you get the whole range of the dynamics. If you put it all the way up, you only get the loudest velocity, the loudest dynamic, even though you play very gently. Then the big dial gives you reverb, and the rest of the functions correlate with the ones you can see down here. You have attack, decay, sustain, release, and also pedal noise if you wanted to add that. I'll show you a few different patches we have in here as well. For example, piano pad. Then you have reversed, for example. Another one I like is the Maccato one. It's really, really short. And the felt that is between the hammers and the strings gives it a really lovely soft tone. Super lovely. I wanted to create a cue that would sort of fit underneath a nature documentary in a moment of awe, having these big lush moments but also something very gentle about it. I started with small faster movements, continuing throughout, trying to keep it busy. I actually played this into the same tempo and then mapped it so it would accelerate. I wanted to sort of keep in a playfulness, so I went over to the Woodwinds and chose a short articulation. Let's have a quick look at the library itself. You get a closed microphone, room microphone, and then also you get a function that lets you distort the patch. Not something I've used within this demo, but definitely a fun way to manipulate your sample. If we look in the drop-down menu, it actually is a combination of brass and woodwinds. I'll get to the brass sounds later. You get live, long, and short. Live is basically a playable patch, so you get a combination of the longs and the shorts. Then within here you have reverb and also tightness. Tightness means that it cuts more into the note, making everything a lot tighter. However, you may lose a little bit of realism doing that. What I tried doing with those short woodwinds was to bring them in really subtly and seamlessly. And then going over to the strings, also using shorts, I'm using an ostinato patch here. I wanted to do the same thing, coming in very subtly and being the counterpart to the woodwinds that I have here. Further on, I let them come together to play in unison. And if we have a quick look into the string library itself, again, you have closed microphone, room microphone, and then something that's called stretch. That is there to give you a bit of a synth-like texture. Let's listen to those on longs. So there's a bit of a synth-like texture there. Expression and dynamics, something I'd always suggest using. It's just a great tool trying to make your samples feel as realistic as possible. Again, reverb, release, and tightness for the shorts. Let's also have a quick look into the drop-down menu. You get various longs, shorts, you've heard the ostinato patch, there's some pizzicatos in here, and then also I'm a big fan of the octaves, one of which I've just played to you. Let's just stick to this channel because the next step was for me to add the melody. This one I then layered with the woodwinds. And if there's something to make your melody or any part you wanted to hear louder and come up stronger, is by layering it with different instruments rather than just turning up the same instrument. Partially because you're getting more variety of frequency range, so that combination is one way to make it stick out more. Coming to the brass now, it's obviously in the same GUI. It has the same functions with the live, long and short patches within there. And I was crescendoing with an A flat sus2 chord. And then referring back to the root over here. Just quickly to show you some longs on their own. The root note I layered with the strings over here in the lower register, just to have a bit more impact. Again, that's without. Already sounding a lot bigger. The last library that I've used is the cinematic Percussion. And the only difference within this GUI is that you have a high pass and a low pass filter. In the drop down menu, you can find cymbals, gongs, earthquake hits, metal hits, low, high percussion hits, and swells. I'll just play the section back for you and add them one by one so you can hear what difference that made. So that was the swell. Let's try with the gong in. Here I'm crescendoing with some cymbals. and then the lowest hit. I'm just going to solo them out for you. I think that really nicely opened everything. That's my first section done. I pretty much just repeated the next section just with a few developments. For example, I am doubling up the ostinato patch here with an octave above. And if we have a look at the melody that was played by the strings and the woodwinds, I started harmonizing those, making a bit of space for the brass to come in and take over the melody. It also sounds a lot fuller here because I'm using the bass throughout rather than just having it drop in at points. If I go back, you can hear that I can breathe a little bit more. So there's a few things that help me transition to the next part. I have a descending string line over here, then slowing down in tempo, trying to really bring everything down. And then also have a much lighter set of instrumentation over here. I'm starting with the piano very gently over here. And also slowly started building up in tempo. On top of that, I was playing in a melody with the woodwinds. The strings following up with the same movement. And then accompanied the rest with a few more shorts. I wanted to bring in some pizzicato to have a very soft rhythmic element in there, as well as the shorts coming in the second half of that. All very slowly coming to an end. That was pretty much a process step by step, and I think all these libraries just work beautifully with one another, all having been recorded at Lyndhurst Air Studios, apart from Felt Piano, that has been recorded at Spitfire Studios, still sitting in there really nicely. The only thing that I've added on top of that is a bit of reverb with a lexicon. I'm using the large hole here. And with everything in mind, let's have a last listen through. I hope this was useful. If you have any questions though, you can put them below. If you like them, you can click on that thumb. If you want to be notified, you can click on the bell. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching.